Welcome to the Madison Motor Podcast. Today is Monday, October 30th, 2023. Today we're going to recap the NFL action and look ahead to Monday Night Football tonight, college football, the World Series, recaps 1 and 2, look at the Game 3, NBA, NHL, soccer, NASCAR. We'll talk about the NFL trade deadline, which is tomorrow, news and notes, and best bet. All right, NFL is where we'll begin. Some very interesting results to talk about, and then look ahead to it's just an awful Monday night game. All right. Yesterday, Dolphins over the Pats 31-17, Jaguars over the Steelers 20-10, Titans over the Falcons 28-23, Panthers over the Texans 15-13 as they get their first win, Jets over the Giants 13-10 in overtime. What was a ridiculous game. Cowboys beat the Rams 43-20. Vikings beat the Packers 24-10. Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about Kirk Cousins in news and notes. Man, gotta feel bad for him. Saints over the Colts 38-27. Eagles over the Commanders 38-31. Seahawks over Browns 24-20. Ravens over the Cardinals 31-24. Broncos over the Chiefs 24-9. Bengals over the 49ers 31-17. And the Chargers over the Bears 30-13 on Sunday Night Football. All right, tonight, 8:15, ABC and ESPN, you have Monday Night Football, the Raiders and the Lions. We have some notable injuries in this game. Apparently, Nate Hobbs is going to be out, as far as I'm concerned. Frank Ragnow is going to be out now. Amon-Ra St. Brown's on the injury report. That's not great. For Detroit. So, it's going to be interesting to see who plays and who doesn't play. So, it looks like Hobbs is still questionable, but I heard a rumor that he wasn't playing. So, projections. Lions by 7, total 42.75. And it is 7.5. Total 46.5. I like the under. There's a ton of injuries. Maybe even no Garoppolo this week too. I think 46.5 is high. Especially with the Raider team that is inept offensively. So I like the under 46.5 in this spot. And then the Lions, amazingly, I'm still in a survivor pool, so the Lions would be my survivor pick for this week. Although Chargers I couldn't do because they're the Chargers. So that's my call for survivor this week as well. All right, college football. Rapid fire results. From weekend, we'll begin with Friday, and we will work our way through. All right, Friday results. FAU over Charlotte, 38-16, so it was only one game. And then Saturday, number 4, Florida State over Wake, 41-16. Kansas upsets number 6, Oklahoma, 38-33. Number 10, Penn State beats Indiana, 33-24. UMass beats Army, 21-14. BC beats UConn, 21-14. Northwestern beats Maryland, 33-27. Texas A&M beats South Carolina, 30-17. Kansas State shuts out Houston, 41-0. West Virginia beats UCF, 41-28. SMU beats Tulsa, 69-10. Western Michigan beats Eastern Michigan, 45-21. NC State beats Clemson, 24-17. Memphis beats North Texas, 45-42. Number 1, Georgia beats Florida, 43-20. Number 7, Texas beats BYU, 35-6. Number 8, Oregon beats number 13, Utah, 35-6. Number 14, Notre Dame beats Pitt, 58-7. Number 18, Louisville beats number 20, Duke, 23-zip. Auburn beats Mississippi State, 27-13. Minnesota beats Michigan State, 27-12. Nebraska beats Purdue, 31-14. Miami beats Virginia, 29-26 in overtime. Iowa State beats Baylor, 30-18. UTSA beats East Carolina, 41-27. App State beats Southern Miss, 48-38. Miami of Ohio beats Ohio 30-16. Number 22, Tulane beats Rice 30-28. Number 24, USC beats Cal 50-49. Woof. Arkansas State beats UL Monroe 34-24. Louisiana beats South Alabama 33-20. Boise State beats Wyoming 32-7. Coastal Carolina beats Marshall 34-6. Number 5, Washington beats Stanford 42-33. Number 19, Air Force beats Colorado State 30-13. Number 21, Tennessee beats Kentucky 33-27. Or 21, Tennessee. Troy beats Texas State 31-13. Number 3, Ohio State beats Wisconsin 24-10. Number 12, Ole Miss beats Vandy 33-7. Number 23, UCLA beats Colorado 28-16. Georgia Tech upsets number 17, North Carolina 46-42. Number 25, James Madison beats Old Dominion 30-27. Arizona State beats Washington State 38-27. Oklahoma State beats Cincinnati 45-13. Arizona upsets number 11, Oregon State 27-24. Nevada beats New Mexico 34-24. Fresno beats UNLV 31-24. And San Jose State beats Hawaii 35-0. All right, the World Series. We will begin with Game 1, and then Game 2, and then preview pick Game 3. All right, Game 1 was a classic. Rangers over the Diamondbacks, 6-5-11 on a walk-off home run by Adolis Garcia. That's what Yankees announcer Michael Kay would call a forever game in Major League Baseball. And then Corey Seager at the 9th inning, tying home run. Jose Leclerc the win. Miguel Castro the loss. You would think this loss is going to come back to haunt Arizona. But the next night they bounced back in a monster way, 9-1 over the Rangers to even up the series. At 1 apiece, Merrill Kelly to win, Jordan Montgomery to loss. Jordan Montgomery, after being good the first 3 innings, looked human for a little bit. So, it happens. Didn't record a strikeout, so you knew something was off with Jordan Montgomery in that game. So, tonight, 8 o'clock on Fox, Rangers Diamondbacks. Game number 3. All right, so we guaranteed no Masked Singer Wednesday night, so that's what we find out here. So, no Masked Singer until next week, or this aired after the World Series, which would be weird, unless they aired Thursday maybe. They're probably putting it on a different day, because it happens sometimes. Max Scherzer, Brandon Pfaadt for Game 3. Brandon Pfaadt's been the biggest surprise of the postseason so far for me for the Diamondbacks, because he was awful in the regular season. And Max Scherzer obviously has been disappointing. The Rangers are minus 112. D-backs are minus 104 over under 9. Overs minus 8. Unders minus 112. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 138. D-backs plus 1.5 is minus 166. I'm going to lay the minus 112 with the Rangers at minus 112. I think Scherzer pitched well. Pfaadt's due for a bad game. Jordan Montgomery was due for a bad game. What happened? He had a bad game. I feel the same way about Pfaadt. Give me the Rangers at minus 112. And just a bonus for you. Texas Rangers 4-1 plus 610. Yeah. And they're still favored to win the series, minus 142. But the Rangers at 5 plus 610 is excellent value. All right, the NBA. We'll go over the weekend results, and we have a big slate for you tonight. So Friday, Pistons over the Hornets 111-99, Nuggets over the Grizzlies 108-104, Celtics over the Heat 119-111, Knicks over the Hawks 126-120, Thunder over the Cavs 108-105, Bulls over the Raptors 104-103 in overtime, Spurs over the Rockets 126-122 in overtime, Mavs over the Nets 125-120, Jazz over the Clippers 120-118, Magic over the Blazers 102-97, and the Warriors over the Kings 122-114. Saturday, Pistons over the Bulls 118-102, Pelicans over the Knicks 96-87. Wizards over the Grizzlies 113-106, Pacers over the Cavs 125-113. Sixers over the Raptors 114-107, Wolves over the Heat 106-90, Suns over the Jazz 126-104. And then yesterday, Nuggets blow out the Thunder 128-95 in OKC. So that's a monster win for Denver. Warriors over the Rockets 106-95. Hawks over the Bucks 127-110. Sixers over the Blazers 126-98. Nice win for them. Without Harden in the home opener. Clippers over the Spurs 123-83. That's a big one for LA. And then the Kings over the Lakers 132-127 in overtime after LeBron James hit a layup to force overtime. Like I said, larger slate tonight, 7 o'clock. You have the Nets at the Hornets. My projection for this game is the Hornets by 4.5, total 226 and 7/10. And we have Brooklyn 1.5, total 228.5. They're basing this off of last season and Mikal Bridges, giving the Hornets plus 1.5 and plus 104 outright. Bulls Pacers. And no Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson tonight for Brooklyn. All right, Bulls Pacers by 12, total 232.25, and it's 3.5 and 227.5. That is extremely low. I think the Pacers are miles better than the Bulls. I'm laying the points. Celtics Wizards. I have Wizards as a 15.5-point home underdog, total 223 or 229 and 3/10, and it's 10 and 229.5. I'm going to lay the 10 with Boston. 7-3 Timberwolves Hawks. I have Pick'em in 224 and a 10th or a 5th, and it's 1.5 and 234.5. That's a high total. Give me the under. Blazers Raptors. I have Raptors 12.5, total 220 and a 5th, and it's 7.5 and 216.5. Laying the points with Toronto. 8 o'clock Mavs Grizz. I have Mavs by a half, total 229 and 2/5. It's 2.5 and 227.5. So for the first time of this segment, I'm going to take second time, I'm going to take the Memphis Grizzlies plus 2.5 and plus 120 outright. So that's 2 underdogs I'm taking. 2 underdogs, a bunch of favorites, and an under. Heat Bucks. Bucks by 9, total 223 and 4/5. And it's 5 and 223.5. All right, I'm going to lay the points with the Bucks. Warriors Pelicans NBA TV. I have Pelicans by 1, total 219 and 3/10. I have a feeling the Pelicans are actually a dog. And no, they're giving 3.5, total 232.5. Wow. All right, I'm taking the under. Next is Pistons Thunder. I have Thunder 14, total 223 and 9/10. And it is 5.5 and 226.5. I'm going to lay the 5.5. Next, 9 o'clock Jazz Nuggets. I have Nuggets 19.5, total 229 and 4/5. And it is 8.5 and 230.5. I'm going to lay the points with the Nuggets. And last but not least, Magic Lakers at 10:30 on NBA TV. I have Lakers 7.5, total 221 and a 10th. And it's 2 and 220.5. Oh my God, the Lakers are only giving 2. All right, I'm going to lay the 2 with the Lakers. That means somebody's injured, and we just don't know. NHL. We'll go over the results from the weekend, and we'll look ahead to tonight's games. I think tonight it's either a smaller window or a big window. It's a big window, just like the NBA. Maybe few less games. Friday, Blackhawks over the Golden Knights 4-3 OT. Devils over the Sabres 5-4. Caps over the Wild 3-2 in a shootout. Canes over the Sharks 3-0. Canucks over the Blues 5-0. Kings over the Coyotes 5-4. Saturday, Ducks over the Flyers 7-4. Panthers over the Kraken 3-2. Bruins over the Red Wings 4-1. Canadians over the Jets 4-3 in a shootout. Sens over the Pens 5-2. Isles over the Blue Jackets 2-0. Preds over the Leafs 3-2 in OT. Rangers over the Canucks 4-3 in OT. Golden Knights over the Kings 4-3 in a shootout. Sunday, Sabres over the Abs 4-0. Devils over the Wild 4-3. Caps over the Sharks 3-1. And the Oilers over the Flames 5-2 in the Heritage Classic. All right. Looks like it's 9 tonight. 7 o'clock, Hurricanes Flyers. Interesting game. The Flyers are off to a decent start. Canes are -194. The Flyers are +158. Over under 6.5. Overs +108. Unders -132. Canes -1.5 is +125. Flyers +1.5 is -150. Yeah, surprisingly not a good start for the Hurricanes. But I think this is a good spot for their offense to get going. So I'm over 3.5 Hurricanes goals, -112. Panthers Bruins. Bruins -172. Panthers +142. Over under 6.5. Overs -102. And there's -120. Panthers +1.5 is -170. Bruins -1.5 is +140. The Bruins are due to lose. They did lose a game in a shootout, but they're due to lose, like in regulation. I'm not going to pick Florida to beat them outright in regulation. I'll just pick them on the money line just in case. So +142. Kraken Lightning. Lightning -162. Kraken +134. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders -122. Kraken +1.5 is -176. Lightning -1.5 is +146. Tough one. I'm going to go over 3.5 Lightning goals, -104. Ducks Pens. Pens -250. Ducks +202. Over under 6.5. -110 Troy. Ducks +1.5 is -126. Pens -1.5 is +105. Over. 7:30 Rangers Jets. Rangers -128. Jets +106. Over under 5.5. Overs -115. Unders -105. Rangers -1.5 is +190. Jets +1.5 is -135. The Rangers are just due to lose. 4-0 on the road trip. Changing time zones. I don't like the spot. Eat my crow, Rangers, if I'm wrong here. Hope I'm wrong. Give me the Jets +106. Red Wings Islanders. Isles -152. Red Wings +126. Over under 5.5. Overs -128. Unders +104. Red Wings +1.5 is -205. Isles -1.5 is +168. I'm going to go with the Red Wings outright +126. They are off to a good start this season. 8 o'clock, Blue Jackets Stars. Stars -255. Blue Jackets +205. Over under 6.5. Overs +108. Unders -132. Columbus +1.5 is -132. Stars -1.5 is +102. This is a tough one. But, ooh. I'm going to go over 6.5 goals +108. Don't like it, but I'll do it. Blackhawks Coyotes at 10. Coyotes -192. Blackhawks +158. Over under 6.5. Overs +104. Unders -128. Blackhawks +1.5 is -146. Coyotes -1.5 is +122. I like the Blackhawks +158. Why not? Bedard, best player on the ice, potentially. And last but not least, Habs Golden Knights. Golden Knights -235. Habs +195. Over under 6.5. Overs +104. Unders -128. Habs +1.5 is -126. Vegas -1.5 is +105. For this one, I'm going to go with Vegas puck line -1.5 at +105. Okay, now we'll move on to soccer from the weekend, and we'll go ahead to everything going on today. We'll begin with MLS because it's playoff time. All right, Saturday's results: Philly over New England 3-1 to take a 1-0 series lead. LAFC over Vancouver 5-2. So both teams that were in the final last year get off to good starts with 1-0 series leads. Sunday, Houston over Salt Lake 2-1 as they go up 1-0 in the series. Cincy over the Red Bulls 3-0. They go up 1-0 in the series. And KC over St. Louis 4-1 to go up 1-0 in the series. We have two today. Orlando, Nashville. Game 1 at 7 o'clock. Probably Fox Sports 1 with the call. Or the channel for that game. Maybe Fox 2. We shall see. So I'm trying to pull up FanDuel here. Here we go. All right. Orlando's even money. Nashville's +260. Draw +230. Orlando's been red hot. They are the 2 seed. Nashville's the 7. They're better than Nashville. They should win in regulation at even money. And 9 o'clock, probably Fox Sports 1, Seattle, Dallas. Seattle's a 2, Dallas is the 7, so it's another 2-7. Seattle's minus 150, Dallas plus 420 draw plus 260. I would not be shocked if this is a draw. I know the Sounders are really good. I just think they're overvalued at home. Give me the draw at plus 260. I would not be shocked if this goes to like 3 games. All right, Premier League. Friday, Tottenham over Crystal Palace 2-1. Saturday, Brentford over Chelsea 2-0. Bournemouth over Burnley 2-1. Arsenal over Sheffield United 5-0. Wolves Newcastle 2-2 draw. Sunday, Everton over West Ham 1-0. Aston Villa over Luton 3-1. Brighton Fulham 1-1 draw. Liverpool out for Nottingham Forest 3-0. And Man City over Man United 3-0. All right, Women's League, we won't see for the semifinals until Sunday. Liga MX, Friday. Necaxa over Yunnan 1-0. Mazatlan over Querétaro 3-0. Saturday, Cruz Azul over Leon 1-0. Tigres over Guadalajara 4-0. Pachuca Puebla 1-1 draw. And America over Monterrey 3-0. Sunday, Toluca over Athletic San Luis 3-1. Santos over Juarez 5-1. And Tijuana over Atlas 2-0. We have games tomorrow in that league. German Bundesliga. Friday, Bochum Mainz 2-2 draw. Saturday, Bayern over Darmstadt 8-0. Wow. Gladbach over Heidenheim 2-1. Augsburg over Wolfsburg 3-2. Hoffenheim over Stuttgart 3-2. Bremen over Union Berlin 2-0. And RB Leipzig over Cologne 6-0. Sunday, Frankfurt Dortmund 3-3 draw. And Leverkusen over Freiburg 2-1. La Liga. Friday, Girona over Celta Vigo 1-0. Saturday, Las Palmas over Almeria 2-1. Real Madrid over Barcelona 2-1. Murcia to Getafe 0-0 draw. And Cadiz Sevilla 2-2 draw. Sunday, Betis over Osasuna 2-1. Rayo and Real Sociedad 2-2 draw. Atletico Valencia 2-2 draw. Atletico over Alaves 2-1. We have a game day 4 o'clock on ESPN Deportes. Granada in Villarreal. Granada's in second. And Villarreal is in 16th. It's a pretty big gap, and you would think that, yeah, wait a second. This isn't right. Villarreal's plus 125, Granada's 2-1 draw plus 240. Why is Villarreal favored? That is insane. Give me Granada 2-1 home upset. Shouldn't even be an upset. They're better than Villarreal this year. Wow, that's like the worst soccer line I've seen all year. All right, Serie A, Friday. Genoa over Salernitana 1-0. Saturday, Sassuolo Bologna 1-1 draw. Torino over Lecce 1-0. Juventus over Verona 1-0. Sunday, Cagliari over Frosinone 4-3. Monza Udinese 1-1 draw. Inter Milan over AS Roma 1-0. And Napoli Milan 2-2 draw. All right, 2 games today. 1:30 of Empoli and Atalanta. Empoli's 17th and Atalanta is in 6th. So Atalanta better be favored. Yeah, minus 170. Empoli plus 440 draws 3-1. I like under 2.5 goals plus 108. And 345, you have Lazio and Fiorentina. Lazio's in 9th and Fiorentina's in 5th. So, pretty even teams. Lazio plus 120, Fiorentina plus 220, draw plus 230. And we got the draw at plus 230 for this one. All right, French League 1. Friday, Nice over Clermont Foot 1-0. Saturday, Reims over Lorient 1-0 and Lens over Nantes 4-0. Sunday, PSG over Brest 3-2. Lille over Monaco 2-1. Metz, Le Havre AC 0-0 draw. Montpellier over Toulouse 3-0. And Rennes Strasbourg 1-1 draw. Marseille Lyon postponed. Dutch Eredivisie. We have a Thursday game this week, so we got to remember that on the Thursday podcast. All right, Friday, Vitesse PC's Volley 1-1 draw. Saturday, Heerenveen over Heracles 3-0. Emery City Go Ahead Eagles 0-0 draw. Sparta over RKC 2-0. And Fortuna FC Utrecht 0-0 draw. Sunday FC 20 over Feyenoord 2-1. FC Volendam over Excelsior 3-1. PSV over Ajax 5-2. And NEC Alkmaar. NEC has a 2-1 lead over Alkmaar. The game was abandoned. English League Championship. Saturday, Leeds over Huddersfield 4-1. Southampton over Birmingham 3-1. Swansea over Blackburn 1-0. Cardiff over Bristol City 2-0. Hull over Preston 1-0. Ipswich over Plymouth 3-2. Stoke over Borough 2-0. Leicester over QPR 2-1. Sunderland over Norwich City 3-1. And Watford and Millwall 2-2 draw. Sunday, Sheffield Wednesday over Rotherham 2-0. And then today at 4 o'clock, Coventry and West Brom. Coventry's in 20th. And West Brom is in 9th. So there's a difference between one and the other. West Brom plus 220, Coventry plus 125, draw plus 220. Again, why is West Brom such a big underdog? Give me them plus 220 outright. Some serious value in soccer today. Then USL from the weekend. So the Western Conference semifinal, Sacramento over San Antonio 3-1 on Friday. And then Saturday, semifinals, Charleston over Birmingham 2-1. And that's the East. And the other Eastern semifinal, Louisville over Detroit 4-0. And then Phoenix over Orange County 2-1 in the Western semis. And then Saturday's the Eastern final and the Western final. It's Charleston, Louisville, and Sacramento, Phoenix. So we'll do that on the podcast on on Friday. Okay, now we'll move on to NASCAR. We'll go over the weekend's results. And believe it or not, next weekend's the last weekend of NASCAR for the season. That is just insane. Because it feels like yesterday I was at Daytona for 500 weekend. So, Xfinity results from Martinsville. Your winner, Justin Allgaier. Second, Sheldon Creed. Third, Sammy Smith. Fourth, Riley Herbst. Fifth, Josh Berry. Sixth, Daniel Hemrick. Seventh, Parker Retzlaff. Anthony Alfredo. Ninth, Jeb Burton. 10th, Parker Kligerman. The rest. Lane Riggs, Raja Caruth, CJ McLaughlin, Josh Williams, Myatt Snyder, Brandon Jones, Jeremy Clements, John Hunter Nemechek, Cole Custer, Brett Moffitt, Austin Hill, Blaine Perkins, Josh Belicki, Ryan Ellis, Sam Meyer, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Chad Fincham, Kaz Grella, Joe Graff Jr., Chris Hacker, Connor Mozak, Brennan Poole, Akinoria Gata, J.J. Yealy, Ryan Sieg, Chandler Smith, Devin Jones, and Kyle Sieg. And now the Cup Series from Martinsville. Your winner, Ryan Blaney. Second, Eric Almirola. Third, Denny Hamlin. Fourth, Chase Briscoe. Fifth, Joey Logano. Sixth, Kyle Larson. Seventh, Chris Bell. Eighth, Chris Buescher. Ninth, Austin Cindric. 10th, Todd Gill, and the rest. Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex Jr., William Byron, Ross Chastain, Harrison Burton, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Preece, Eric Jones, Corey LaJoie, Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, who was my pick, AJ Allmendinger, Ryan Newman, Justin Haley, Carson Hocevar, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, J.J. Yealy, and B.J. McLeod. All right, last weekend of the season coming up, you have the Trucks finale Friday night at 10 o'clock. Xfinity finale Saturday at 7 o'clock on USA. And obviously, the Trucks is on Fox Sports 1. And the Cup, you have at 3 o'clock on NBC from Phoenix. So, Interested to see who wins the NASCAR championship this year. Okay, now we're going to do some NFL trade deadline chat. With the deadline being tomorrow, we're going to go through every team, and then we'll play buy or sell. Some cases there are going to be some holes. So we'll start in the AFC East, and we'll start with the Buffalo Bills. Buy. This team obviously is not what it's been the last several years. You could argue they still never got over the 13 seconds against the Chiefs from 2 playoffs ago. I think they have needs on defense at corner, linebacker, replace Matt Milano. Just try to get guys in contract years or something like that. Maybe call Arizona and see availability for some of their guys. Would the Giants trade Bobby Okereke even after signing him in the offseason? That's just a thought. But the Bills do need help on defense with the loss of Milano. Marcus Davenport, Minnesota. Maybe Shaq Barrett would be a monster addition for them. The Packers just extended Rashawn Gary, so obviously he's not available. So we'll see where to go. Maybe someone we're not thinking of, maybe Matt Judon, if the Pats decide to really blow it up. Next is the Miami Dolphins. I think they need some depth in the secondary, considering how injury-prone that secondary is. Ryan Neal of the Bucs would be a good fit. Maybe Kendall Fuller. I'm not talking contractually, I'm just naming players at this point. I don't think the Panthers would deal J.C. Horn. Sean Murphy-Bunting would be a good fit. He'd fit on Buffalo, too. Jets, Bayer. I hate to say that because they looked awful and probably should have lost to a third-string quarterback yesterday in Tommy DeVito and the Giants. But they're going to be a buyer, and they can win that division. And the Jets, they were due to play bad, and they did, but they didn't lose. But to me, they have to try to upgrade over Zach Wilson, at least until Rodgers comes back. Could Taylor Heineke be someone they might want to look at if Atlanta really just wants to shuffle the deck? Maybe Jameis Winston. That would be a great addition. That's who, if I'm the Jets, I'd go for at this point. I've been calling for Minshew for them for a while, but obviously Richardson's hurt, so they're not going to trade Minshew in D. So if I'm the Jets, I go for Jameis Winston. That's just a good target for them. And then my favorite target for the Bills, I would say, would be Shaq Barrett if the Bucs decide to be a seller. And for Miami, I like Sean Murphy-Bunting for them or somebody like that. Patriots sell. They're going to be the only sell in that division. Let's see who they potentially deal. I think Matt Judon could have gotten something for them, but he's obviously hurt. Maybe they'll trade Hunter Henry to a team that needs a tight end. I can see them dealing Ezekiel Elliott, N'Keep Ramondre. Those were maybe Devontae Parker they're trying to fight on Taker for. Maybe some guys on defense other than Judon potentially. Would they trade Jonathan Jones or Jack Jones in the secondary? But yeah, if I predict the player they're going to move, I'm going to say it's Devontae Parker. All right, AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens are going to be a buyer. This is hard to determine where they should go. But to me, running back and the guy they should target is Saquon Barkley of the Giants. But I don't think the Giants are going to accept a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick for Barkley, especially given that the Ravens, that's probably going to be a bad third-round pick. So if I'm the Ravens, you might have to give up your first-round pick to get it done, because we saw how little Christian McCaffrey went for. We thought it was a lot at the time. And he's just been nothing short of stellar for the 49ers. So I could see it being Barkley for them. I could also see it being Jonathan Taylor, amazingly enough. I could see it being Ezekiel Elliott. And Zeke would fit, because then the Ravens are building like an old school, like they were a good 8 years ago team with Ezekiel Elliott and Odell Beckham Jr., which is funny for LOL purposes. So Zeke, Barkley, maybe James Conner of the Ravens. I could also see the Ravens going for somebody like Chase Edmonds. That makes sense to me for them. Derrick Henry. But I don't think Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley are being moved. That's just my opinion. I think that those teams want a lot for those guys, and rightfully so. One guy almost won an MVP, and the other guy is literally the team's offense when he's on the field, as long as they have a competent quarterback. Or I shouldn't say a competent, maybe like a C. Maybe Devin Singletary of the Texans. I'm trying to think of who would fit well in the Ravens as a running back. Miles Sanders. I could see it being him. I think the most fun one would be Zeke, only because of like the idea of him and Odell on the same team is just funny to me. I mean, I could see it being David Montgomery too, and then they just open it up for Gibbs. But I don't know if they would actually do it. Would the Eagles give up like Kenneth Gainwell so they could just keep Swift and Boston Scott or something like that? But the other guy I could see it being is Antonio Gibson. But I don't know if they would trade with the Commanders, considering that they're not far from each other. I don't think it'll be Josh Jacobs. That would be weird. I don't think Green Bay is going to break up the Dylan Aaron Jones combo. So there's a lot of guys I could come up with, but I'm going to say Zeke is the best kind of fit for someone that could just score touchdowns for them running the ball. The Browns, they have to be a buyer. What they really need is Deshaun Watson to revert back to his Texans days. But in terms of position of need, I think they're set at running back. They could use another receiver. And I really don't love their receiving room outside of Amari Cooper. Cedric Tillman really hasn't bursted onto the scene. That could be another Devontae Parker team. Could you see them bringing back Landry? Could you see them going after like Jerry Jeudy, Curtis Samuel? There's some guys I wouldn't mind for them. I don't think the Commanders would trade Jahan Dotson. That'd be weird. Did the Rams trade Van Jefferson yet? No, yeah, I think they dealt him to Atlanta. I could see them going after Hollywood Brown. Like, if I could see like a surprise name being traded nobody's talking about, I could see it being Hollywood Brown. I think that would be a really good fit for the Browns, him and Amari together. The Steelers, they just have to be a buyer by default because they're 4-3 and it's Mike Tomlin. They're another team that I think needs a receiver. And that's a team that I think could use like a backup tight end before Freiermuth comes back. But I think offensive line's a huge need for Pittsburgh. I just don't think their guards are that great. I mean, can you see them potentially trying to go for like Sam Cosmi of the Commanders, Austin Corbett of Carolina? There's other guys that they could kind of use. Ed Ingram, Minnesota. So, yeah, I'm going to say it's an offensive lineman for Pittsburgh, and I can see it being Corbett. He's been bounced around a little bit. And then the Bengals are going to be a buyer. So, this is the only division I have with 4 buyers. Cincy, to me, should be looking at defense. I think that their defensive coordinator has been really good getting a lot of talent out of guys. Position of need. I think that their linebackers are decent, but I think their secondary could be better. They do have some good secondary people, but I think from a depth standpoint, they could use that. Benjamin St. Juste of the Commanders, Kyler Gordon of the Bears, Tyreek Stevenson of the Bears. Just a couple names that I want to toss. All right, the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be a buyer. They are coming together pretty well right now. I think safety could be an upgrade position for them to go alongside Andre Sisco. I think a guy that can help them would be Caden Stearns of Denver, but he's hurt. Jaquan Brisker would be a good ad for them. Xavier Woods would be really good. That's my favorite fit for them. Next, the Indianapolis Colts. Oh, that team's just awful. So, a guy that I think that they could potentially trade. They just extended them, so I can't see them trading Jonathan Taylor like I could have maybe a month and a half ago. So a guy I'm looking at that a contender could use. I mean, would you rule out them trading Leonard? He's often injured. He just, to me, isn't that elite force that he used to be. Shaquille Leonard, formerly Darius Leonard. Could it, him or DeForest Buckner end up being moved? I think I could see that. My answer would have been Minshew had Richardson not gotten injured. I mean, they do have a plethora of receivers and tight ends. So I can see like Mo Alley Cox being dealt for the right package. So I'm going to say Mo Alley Cox. And I could see that being like a Pittsburgh target. In addition to the guard I threw out for them, Austin Corbett. Tennessee, last weekend was encouraging from Will Levis. Although my biggest fear for Will Levis is that it reminded me of Daniel Jones' first game where he went out and threw all those touchdowns and then he turns into what he's become. I could see that with Will Levis. But really, Tampa should be a seller. They already traded Byard. DeAndre Hopkins would be wonderful on a lot of teams. I feel like they might trade him. He had a great game. I could definitely see them trading him. So I'm going to say he's the most likely to be traded on that team. And I have the perfect destination for him. I'm going to reveal it in a couple minutes. Houston, oof. That was a terrible loss against the Panthers. There's a couple teams that had terrible losses. They're one of them. Oh, this is so hard. That division, Jacksonville's pulling away. I mean, had they won that game, I would have said bye, but I'm sorry. That was a reality check type of loss for Houston. They're not that good. You shouldn't be losing to the Panthers. Sorry. You're not for real. You're a fraud. I like CJ Stroud, though. But, yeah, they're seller. And I could see Nico Collins being moved for sure. I mean, I don't see them moving Tunsil or any of the guys they signed in free agency, but I could see them moving Nico Collins. Next, oh wait, I did every team in that division. So AFC West, Kansas City, they're a buyer, and to me that's the DeAndre Hopkins landing spot. That's the best fit. They needed WR1. Rashid Rice isn't in it. Kadarius Toney certainly ain't it. Travis Kelce's technically their WR1 and their TE1. He is the Christian McCaffrey of their team, except Christian McCaffrey now is on a team full of skill. I'm talking about Panthers Christian McCaffrey. This is what this reminds me of. Like, they're literally crushed if they don't have him, Kelce. So they need a WR1. Hopkins would be a great fit. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin would be good fits too, but I'm going to say Hopkins is the best fit because I think the Chiefs like big stars and big names, and they like to go for it with Mahomes. That division, low-key, isn't as good as it usually is. Chargers, based on the talent, I'm going to say bye, and then their schedule gets a little easier, and they get to play Denver and the Raiders a couple times more, assuming those teams sell. So to me, the Chargers are a buyer. To me, they have to try to find good backups to guys that are oft injured. Wide receivers, another need for them. Would they be in the Hopkins market? That would be weird. I feel like they are going to be in the Hollywood Brown market. I like Hollywood Brown for the Chargers, but I think that the Browns are the best fit for him. A guy that I could see the Chargers trying to go for. I mean, can you see the Jets moving Alan Lazard? But then again, they need more receivers other than Garrett Wilson. A good fit for the Chargers would be Juju Smith-Schuster. That, to me, is the best fit. I could see the Patriots moving him, too. Yeah, him and Parker. But I had Parker going somewhere else. I forgot where I said I had. Or no, I had Parker traded. I think Parker would be the best fit on the Chargers. All right, Denver, sell. I know they beat the Chiefs, but there's a reason why they got rid of Randy Gregory. To me, I don't think they should trade Surtain. To me, Surtain's a building block. If they get multiple firsts for Surtain, bravo for Denver. But the guy that they should trade is Jerry Jeudy because he's oft injured. And he just shows so much flashes like he did this past weekend. But best fit for Jerry Jeudy, I kind of like Dallas for him. It reminds me of Amari Cooper. Because Amari Cooper, big-time receiver from Alabama, flashes with the Raiders, and then he hits with the Cowboys. So the Cowboys, to me, are an excellent fit for Jerry Jeudy. And plus, they traded to the opposite conference. So I like the Cowboys for Jerry Jeudy. Raiders sell. The guy they should trade is Jimmy Garoppolo. And make Aiden O'Connell the starter. And O'Connell showed a ton of promise. But if they trade Garoppolo and start Brian Hoyer, then you know they're all in for Caleb Williams and Drake May. And a good Garoppolo team would be the Jets. Although I said Jameis for the Jets. But a good Garoppolo team would be Atlanta. Because the reason why I didn't say Winston for Atlanta, because I don't see the Saints trading in division, So, again, with this Dennis Allen connection with the Raiders, very, very weird, and it would be kind of a that's just very weird, like the Raiders with the AFC or the NFC South. So, I think Garoppolo Atlanta for short-term purposes to try to win that division against Derek Carr and the Saints. So that's just weird, trading Garoppolo to the same division as Derek Carr is weird. So that's a good fit for Garoppolo. Most likely to be traded for sure. Or not most likely, but guy who want to see them trade. NFC East will start with the Eagles. They're the best team in the division, in my opinion, although their defense has been leaky. They're obviously going to be a buyer. They went out and got fired from Tennessee. But, like, what else is for them to improve? Corner? Absolutely, it would be corner, would be the other one. So, the guy that I think would fit Philly, maybe Jalen Johnson of the Bears. I don't think the Panthers would trade Jeremy Chin. Kawon Williams I really like for Philly from Denver. He's sneaky good. That's someone I would eye if I'm the Eagles. I say Kawon Williams for them. Dallas buyer, I already gave away my guy for them, CeeDee Lamb, to go with Jerry Jeudy. I like that a lot. It brings parallels to the Cooper trade from a couple years ago. Giants should be a sell. Duh. Similar to Houston, that was a reality check loss for the Giants. They got excited over one win over a garbage Commanders team with perhaps the worst coach in the NFL in Ron Rivera. And, or one of the worst coaches, not the worst necessarily, but he's been one of the worst coaches by far this season. And then they were handed flowers for only holding the Bills to 14 points. Their defense is excellent, and I think their defense has guys to trade. I mean, Saquon Barkley probably is the right answer to this, but there's serious bounce-back potential with the Giants next year, or even like in the second half of this year, kind of like the Browns last year and the Steelers last year a little bit, but they're not going to be as good as the Steelers were last year. Because don't forget, I know the Giants are 2-6. Guess who was 2-6 last year? The Pittsburgh Steelers. But that Pittsburgh team was way better than this Giants team because of the Giants don't have T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick on that team. Just saying. But yeah, the Giants aren't going anywhere. Dave Ball's regressed as a coach. Daniel Jones regressed from last year, and now he's hurt. But to me, the guy they should trade is Adoree Jackson. He had the bad pass interference which led to the Jets' game-winning field goal. I think that he would be a good fit on a bunch of different teams. So I think most likely the guy dealt for them is Adoree Jackson, a guy that they thought about cutting in the offseason. Commanders sell. They're every bit as bad as the Giants, if not worse, because the Giants actually beat them. And they have a worse coach. They're only a game apart. But the reason why the Commanders have one extra win is because Denver choked against them. So, Commanders most like are a guy that I think would... Well, will they trade Chase Young? I mean, apparently they won't blow it up. They should blow it up, but they won't because... Oh, wait, Daniel Snyder's gone. But still, that new ownership probably doesn't want to sell. And I don't trust Magic Johnson as an owner. I mean, granted, he's only won one title as an owner, which was with the Dodgers, and he was really bad as the Lakers GM or president of basketball ops, whatever he was. So I don't trust Magic Johnson. Hell no. As good as a guy he is, but to me he's too old school. So Kendall Fuller to me is a guy I could see them trading. I threw his name out for the Bills and the Dolphins. I don't see him getting traded to Philly because they're in the same division. Pittsburgh I could see for him. couple teams, especially in the AFC. All right, NFC North. Detroit, Bayer. To me, they have to look in their secondary. They lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Forbes, or not Emmanuel Forbes. Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley, wrong Emmanuel. But yeah, they have to upgrade in the secondary. I think Fuller would be an excellent fit on Detroit. Jameel Dean of the Buccaneers would be a really good fit. Kenny Moore on the Colts. Rasul Douglas on Green Bay, but I can't see them dealing with Green Bay. Sean Murphy-Bunting. Nate Hobbs, who's terrific. But I think the best fit would be Marcus Peters. A ton of big games. Detroit needs some gamers on defense that have been in big games in the past several years. So Marcus Peters, I think, would be the best fit on the Lions. Minnesota. This is the hardest one. My instinct reaction was sell after Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles, which is just awful for the Minnesota Vikings. But to me, whether they trade for a quarterback or not will determine what direction they're going to go. Like, if they don't trade for a quarterback, bet adjusted win total under immediately and bet on them to perhaps finish in last place in that division because they are garbage without Kirk Cousins. Garbage. Worse than the Bears without Kirk Cousins. And they couldn't even move the ball with their backup quarterback today. So, to me, they have to go for quarterback, and that's another Jameis destination. I mean, I don't think Kyler Murray is going to be dealt. I don't think the Steelers will trade Trubisky. Same with the how I felt about the Colts with Minshew. I mean, Heineke, I'm not the biggest fan of. Maybe Ryan Tannehill. That's an interesting one. I mean, would the Bucs trade Baker? I mean, Garoppolo would be a good fit on Minnesota. I mean, would Drew Lock be good for Minnie? Excuse me, amazingly enough. The former Texan quarterback, Davis Mills, or the former Texan starter, I should say. I don't think the Rams are trading Stafford. But yeah, they could look around and find somebody. But the backups really, I don't see a lot of them being dealt. So they have to find somebody. I mean, I guess in theory, do you know who would be a great fit for Minnesota low-key? He's a free agent working on TV right now. Ryan Fitzpatrick. And with that receiving core, that'd be fun. I mean, I'm not a Heineke fan, but I think Jameis would be a good fit on Minnesota too. Josh Dobbs, but he's regressed badly for Arizona since the first 3 games of the season. But yeah, who was the guy for Minnesota? Sam Darnold? Maybe the 49ers shouldn't have traded Lance. That's a bad trade now for the Niners. They should have kept Lance, and then they could have dealt him to, maybe Dallas deals Lance to Minnesota. Cooper Rush. I mean, Cooper Rush was okay with Dallas, but I think that was more had to do with Dallas's elite defense than Cooper Rush. But the Vikings defense is elite. I just can't find somebody for Minnie, but if they go the other way and sell, then they should trade Marcus Davenport and they should deal him to either the Chargers, the Bills, or the Dolphins. Or even the Jets, which would be a great fit. So if they sell, Davenport's the guy they should trade. But if they buy, maybe Jarrett Stidham from Denver. But I don't think they'll trade for P.J. Walker. And then, I mean, I could see it being P.J., but P.J. wasn't good in that game. My God, Simeon, I know the Jets just acquired Simeon to back up Rodgers. Oh, my God. I can't really think of a good one, but the best one is Winston. Probably backing up Derek Carr in New Orleans. Oh, I thought of one. Andy Dalton. There we go. The Panthers should trade Andy Dalton to Minnesota. That's a good fit. Let's give him Andy Dalton for a buyer, and if they sell, the guy they should trade is Davenport, the edge rusher. Chicago seller. They're just a train wreck. They've been a train wreck all year outside of that Raiders game. I don't think they should trade DJ Moore after acquiring him because they have an excellent shot at getting the first pick of the draft, whether it's their own pick or the Panthers pick. But the guy that they might look to move, I could see it being Mooney. I mean, Mooney could fit on a bunch of different teams. Another guy they can consider would be Nate Davis, who's always hurt. Tevin Jenkins, the guard. That would be an upgrade for somebody like Pittsburgh or someone that's trying to win the Jets. But yeah, Tevin Jenkins to me is a guy that they should look to trade. And last in the division, Green Bay, seller. Jordan Love doesn't look like he's it. They have too many injuries. A guy that they should look to trade, maybe Darnell Savage. I could see them looking to move him. I think they want to keep like Elgin Jenkins. I think they want to keep the center. They just extended Gary. Kenny Clark's been around a long time. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that can entice other teams from Green Bay. But Savage is interesting for sure. So I could see them potentially moving Savage. And that would be a great fit for somebody like Buffalo or the Dolphins and the Chargers for some of these teams that in the AFC for sure. South, New Orleans should buy. They're the biggest feast or famine in the league this year. They could either lose 20-6 or they can win 38-27 like they did against Indy. They're the biggest feast or famine for sure. To me, the place they should be looking is that number 2 receiver spot. A lot of teams, like Nico Collins would be a good fit for New Orleans. Devontae Parker. Some other guys I thought about. I don't think they would go Jerry Jeudy. That would just be crazy. To me, it's just number 3 receiver. Or they could use it with Olave and Michael Thomas. Maybe Nico Collins would be the best fit for them there. Atlanta Bayern, they should look at quarterback. And to me, the best fit's Jimmy Garoppolo. We went over that. Tampa sell, they're just bad. They won't trade Baker, but the guy I think that they should trade are most likely. I already said Shaq Barrett, but Mike Evans still didn't get a contract. That's a guy I could see being a surprise name move. The Chiefs are a great fit. The thought of him on the Jets would be amazing with him and Garrett Wilson. The Jets do need another receiver for sure. They did him in Dallas is great. Buffalo with Stephon Diggs would be fun. I could see him with Amon-Ra on the Lions with some of the injuries they have. He'd be an upgrade at Baltimore, but I think Baltimore likes what they have at receiver right now. The Browns would be an excellent fit for sure. But yeah, you can go on and on and on with Mike Evans' teams. A holdover for Mike Williams with the Chargers would be a good fit as well. I think that there's some other teams that are good fits for Mike Evans as well, but I just went over a bunch of them. The Giants would have been an outstanding fit had they been competent this year. Same for the Commanders. With him and McLaurin together would be amazing. And last but not least, in that division, the Panthers. Obvious seller. They're really bad. Brian Burns. Did they just extend him, Brian Burns? Apparently a trade's unlikely, but to me, it's the guy they should deal. I think he'd be amazing on the Jets. I think I had him on the Jets as like a preseason trade. That would just be an incredible fit. That would be an incredible Milano replacement for a year. I think he'd be a really good fit on Miami, the Chargers. If the Vikings decide to go for it, I could see that. I think he'd be amazing on the Lions. I love the idea of him on the Lions with Hutchinson. Next is the NFC West. The Niners have to be a buyer. To me, they're a team that really shouldn't touch the offensive side of the ball with their skill positions. I just think that Purdy's in. I think he played with a concussion. They should have sat him because he was concussed. That's why he didn't play well. If he plays bad again next week, then this has to be a bigger conversation. But to me, the 49ers have to look at offensive line. I think those Bears guards would be good fits. As for Cleveland, if the Vikings decide to sell in the wake of the Cousins injury, Quinn Meinerz of Denver would be a good fit. I think Michael Winu of New England would be outstanding, but I don't see New England moving him. But a guy I'm eyeing for that team is perhaps former Giant Will Hernandez. I could see that being a 49er guy, but he could just plug in and he plays well. Matt Fielder of the Buccaneers would be a good fit. But I think Cosme's the best fit from the Commanders. The Seattle Seahawks are a buyer. They have to look on defense. They have some injuries in the secondary. And I don't love their linebackers either. Jordan Brooks has been a massive disappointment, former first-round pick. If the Broncos were serious about blowing it up, I think Justin Simmons in the secondary would have been amazing for them. But the guy that they should look at, I mean, would the Packers make Devondre available? I don't think so. Shaq Thompson's out for the season. That would have been an amazing fit. Bobby Okereke of the Giants, if they decide to move him. Juwan Bentley of New England. Jordan Hicks of the Vikings. But I think the best fit would be Josie Jewell of Denver. I like that fit for Seattle. Rams seller, do they finally say, hey, we had our run, let's cash in with Donald and Kupp and Stafford? I don't think it's going to be any of those guys that potentially get moved, but I could see it being somebody like another one of their running backs or receivers, or the tight end. I could see their tight end getting moved, Tyler Higbee. That would be a good addition for somebody. And very quickly, the Cardinals sell guy that they should trade. It would have been Zach Ertz, but he's out for all. Same with James Conner. I think Hollywood Brown, could be a guy that could be on the move. I went over good fits for Hollywood Brown throughout the show with the other receivers that I think could be had. Okay, news and notes. We're going to do this rapid fire. We went way too long with this trade deadline thing. I'm sorry about that. So before we get into sports, rest in peace, Matthew Perry. Awful news that came down Saturday night. Just in shook about it. Obviously well known for being Chandler and Friends. And then thoughts and prayers to his family and everyone from the cast of Friends and everybody who he's touched with and connected with in his career. It's just really, really sad news from the weekend. So the Cardinals are not trading Kyler. That's not surprising. Commanders fires are unlikely as Chase Young and Montez Sweat remain trade candidates. Multiple teams eyeing running backs, Browns, Packers, Ravens. But then it was reported that they're actively initiating trade talks involving Young and Sweat. The Titans won't trade Derrick Henry. That's not surprising. Baltimore wants a running back, we know. Teams are eyeing Jacoby Brissett. That's a good Jet, and that's a good Viking as well. Kendrick Bourne out for the year, torn ACL, brutal. Grady Jarrett, torn ACL, out for the season. Daniel Jones cleared the play. He's in line to return Week 9 against the Raiders after it's reported that he was going to be back Week 10 against the Cowboys. Adam Schefter, bad weekend. From misreporting on Daniel Jones to misreporting the weather forecast in the Broncos game yesterday against the Chiefs. So the Giants do need an upgrade over Tommy DeVito, whether it's Jones or Tyrod, but Tommy DeVito ain't it, regardless who they're playing. And they might actually face Brian Hoyer on Sunday. Kyler will not debut against the Browns, as it will be Josh Dobbs. Kenny Pickett's status up in the air against the Titans due to a rib injury. Not great. We talked about Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles. That's absolutely brutal for the Vikings. As we talked about earlier in the show. Darren Waller did not return against the Jets due to a hamstring injury. Kenny Pickett got ruled out after the rib injury. Patrick Mahomes was sick as he was dealing with the flu. Makes sense to why the Chiefs were so bad in that game. Jalen Ramsey came off the injury report against the Patriots. But then again, there's reports that Kyler coming back against the Browns, chances were high, but it looks like it's going to be Josh Dobbs. Brock Purdy cleared for Sunday, but he did not play good. Jimmy G will be back tonight against the Lions. Tyson Bagent started for the Bears again. And then Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed came back for the Jets, which was big for them. The NFL warns the Houston Cougars to stop unauthorized use of Oilers-themed uniforms. Yikes. The Colorado locker room was robbed as Buffalo's players say they had jewelry stolen during the game against UCLA. Yikes. Michigan retracts Jim Harbaugh's 5-year, $36.7 million extension amid sign stealing probe. That's not surprising. There's no way he's back at Michigan next season. No way. And then the league, or the NFL, is unlikely to save him as the league may force Jim to serve suspension if NCAA hands down one. Yikes. And then, new information dropped on Friday night as a former D3 coach says Michigan staffer paid him to record sidelines of other Big Ten teams. Oh my God. Dave Dorian of NC State roasted Steve Smith after beating Clemson after Steve Smith apparently said that NC State was a basketball school. All right, Ronnie Caldwell, who passed away earlier in the season, his family is to sue Northwestern State after his death earlier in the month. The big news this morning, Cooper Flagg picks Duke over UConn. I told you guys he was going to Duke weeks ago. Cooper Flagg just fits Duke. A big get for John Shire. Probably his biggest get yet. Probably their biggest recruit land since Zion, you would think, right? And then Harbaugh is currently on a 5-year deal. And then the school rescinded a new contract in wake of the sign-stealing probe. So the Broncos Stadium, Mile High, were just trolling the Chiefs after the upset win as they were playing some Taylor Swift. Fury beats Ngannou as the Gypsy King barely survives Francis Ngannou in thrilling crossover boxing match. St. John's falls to a D2 school in a bye game in an exhibition. That's not a good sign for Rick Pitino's team. The Jaguars troll terrible towels as admin gets a last laugh after George Pickens said Jaguars have a hope defense. Yikes. There is a brutal roughing the passer call on a Steelers defensive back for a hard tackle on Trevor Lawrence. We've talked about Adam Schefter getting the forecast wrong for Chiefs Broncos. There was some snow, but it wasn't 6 to 14 inches. Steve Smith apologized to Jerry Jeudy as he explained his side of the viral beef to Pat McAfee. Chris Paul came off the bench last night as Draymond returned to the starting five after his injury. James Harden to practice on Tuesdays. Nick Nurse hopes to get James Harden into live action after attending walkthrough yesterday. Bradley Beal missed Saturday's game, which was the Suns' home opener. I think Devin Booker missed the game too. Brutal news for the Blazers. Anthony Simon's out 4 to 6 weeks for UCL tear in right thumb. Yikes, that is a brutal for the Blazers. That's like tank injury. We talked about the World Series earlier in the show. Joe Thornton retired. Congrats to him. Great career. Dalvin Cook drawing little interest. That could be a Ravens pickup. That would be a really good fit on Baltimore. I said Ezekiel Elliott. I forgot about Dalvin Cook. But Derrick Henry's trade market was cold as there was a growing sense the Titans will not trade him. If the Derrick Henry market's cold, so is the Saquon Barkley market. So neither team should trade their star running backs. We talked about Daniel Jones coming back potentially against the Raiders after his reported he was going to come back against the Cowboys. Tommy DeVito took over for Tyrod Taylor after Taylor was taken to the hospital yesterday, which was brutal. And if Tyrod plays in that Giants game, they probably win. That's amazing saying that. They definitely win with Daniel Jones. And they probably win with Tyrod Taylor. Because, let's face it, the reason why the Giants lost the game was because of the third-string quarterback. And I get it. The Jets drove down the field. Gano missed a bunch of kicks. But it's a third-string quarterback. You're not supposed to win with a third-string quarterback in the NFL, really. There's a reason why he's a third-string quarterback. Jalen Brunson was fined $2,000 for flop in the win over the Hawks. Former Knicks general manager Scott Perry says that Donovan Mitchell wasn't capable of being a singular force to lead. Wow. That's taking a shot. And the Knicks kind of exposed Donovan in that playoff series. And now they play each other tomorrow night. Guardians manager wish list. Brewers manager Craig Counsell and 4 assistants around the league. Counsell on the Guardians would be really good. And then non-sports news, the suspected gunman behind the killing of 18 people in Maine was found dead after a 2-day manhunt. So they found the killer, and he looks like he took himself out. He probably would have been in jail for life had he not killed himself, obviously. But thoughts and prayers to everybody in Maine. That was just a sad story. I believe I touched on it on the Friday podcast. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. So today's best bet, I'm going to bet on a team I bet on last week and against a team I bet against the other night. Although the team I bet against won the game, they did not cover. And that team is the Chicago Bulls that I'm betting against for the second time in a row for best bet. So I'm laying 3.5 at Indiana against the Bulls. I'm going to lay a quarter unit on it. I think the Pacers are way better than the Bulls. And I think that the Pacers win this game again by double digits, just like they did against the Wizards. So there you have it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow with everything. Look at everything tomorrow. We have a portfolio pick tomorrow as well. World Series and so much more. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.